There we are. We are live. Good afternoon, everyone, and I guess early evening for those of you on the East Coast. You are live here with myself, obviously, Nurse in the Know. I'm Bahamia, Geriatric Care Manager, and I'm joined by my other co-host. We've got Robin Downs, Yoga Guru of Yoga Flava, and we have Sergeant Major, her father, who she is taking care of full time, well, helping full time, and he is here with us to help us talk about elder care. And what we kind of have been going through within the last several weeks of our series is creating our perfect care plan. So we start off every show with our segment on meditation, and Robin has something that she wants to share with us today. So I will yield the floor to you, Robin.
Okay. And I would like to start off with some breathing just to kind of center us. We could place both palms on the lower belly to focus on the deep diaphragmatic breathing, because a lot of us use the upper third and we're not getting the full supply of oxygen. So especially once again with the coronavirus, you really want to strengthen the lungs, and doing that is deep breathing. So inhale through the nose and let the belly swell like a balloon. So really pulling the belly, pushing the belly button into your hands, and then exhale, pull the belly button back towards your spine and up towards your heart. Good job, Dad. Going again, inhale, let the belly swell. Exhale, pull it in. Inhale, let the belly swell. Exhale, pull it in. One more time. Inhale, let the belly swell. Exhale all the way, relax the shoulders. Now from here, this is a mind-body exercise. During the week, I always try to find different things to stimulate mobility, which we're going to talk further about, but also to stimulate the mind. And I came across this exercise that is supposed to have a connection between the body and the mind. Most do, but this one in particular, I think you all will find interesting. So what we're going to do is bring the pinkies together. Have your palms facing towards you. You're going to inhale fully. Exhale fully. The next time you inhale, you're going to fold each finger by itself. You can continue to breathe. So just bring the thumb in towards the palm, pointer finger, middle finger, ring finger, pinky. Pinky, ring, middle finger, pointer, and thumb. Let's take a big inhale, a big exhale. Inhale, continue to breathe. The opposite side. Thumb, pointer, middle, ring, pinky, pinky, ring, middle, pointer, thumb. Inhale, exhale. Continue to breathe. Thumb, pointer, middle, ring, pinky, pinky, ring, middle, pointer, thumb. Inhale. Exhale. Last round. Thumb, pointer, middle, pinky, or ring, pinky, pinky, ring, middle, pointer, thumb. Inhale. Exhale. Palms together in front of the heart center. The spirit in me honors the spirit in you. Namaste.
Always. Robin, that was hard.
That was hard. That's why I wanted to share it.
Oh my goodness. Sergeant Major, did you find it hard?
No.
A little challenging? No?
He was doing it.
He was doing it. He knows this. I felt like I would get to the ring finger of this hand and just kind of.
I was like,
I couldn't figure it out. Oh my gosh, that was good. And another thing I will say I noticed, and as we've been doing these, is that breathing that you said it's
deep diaphragmatic breathing.
Mm-hmm. Diaphragmatic breathing. So I noticed that even on just without doing that, I never really take the time to exhale, like expand my stomach when I do the deep breath, and it makes a difference. It's like, wait a minute, am I doing this wrong? Yeah. So I think, tell us just a little bit about how that kind of breathing helps just the body in general?
Sure. First of all, I'd like to say it's on my September calendar on the Yoga Flavor playlist on
Awesome.
YouTube.
Perfect. No, that's
I
great.
think
So if
September
anybody
1st,
wants more
actually.
information.
Yeah, because you can go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com, Yoga Flavor, and I made a point of making a September playlist. And it's been interesting because I've been doing it for me as well, revisiting, some of my sessions. And deep diaphragmatic breathing was one of the first things I learned in yoga, and the importance of the breath. And we all kind of do it one way or another. When someone's stressed out, you say, okay, just, take a breath. When you say take a deep breath, it's referring to the deep diaphragmatic breathing. It's something that singers know as well. In order to belt out, they have to really fill the belly. And then when they exhale, they can belt out, the beautiful sounds.
And beautiful sound, yeah.
Right. And once again, a lot of us, and if you watch babies naturally breathe from the belly.
I see.
So it's later on where, society has us all constricted and we're like,
you're stressed.
Okay, so yeah, it's getting in the maximum amount of oxygen, energy, and life force. So the deep breathing will give you that energy you're lacking. Once again, when they say to take a deep breath, it's referring to deep diaphragmatic breathing.
Awesome. Thank you for clearing that up. I just wondered, kind of every time we get off, I do always feel a lot more relaxed. And I really think that it has a lot to do with just being able to do a quick 5 minutes, which is part of self-care, right?
Yes.
So I just wanted to kind of segue into mobility, because this is kind of what we're talking about when we talk about our care plans, when we talk about how we're going to maximize this season of caregiving, not only for yourself as the caregiver, but also for your aging loved one. Mobility is probably the biggest issue that kind of plagues most of my caregivers, because I don't know if you, you not at this point, and hopefully not ever. Sergeant Major has been amazing and is fully mobile, does everything that he needs to get around, but not everyone is as fortunate as him. So,
and there are some challenges.
Okay.
He lets me know when, like, oh, not today, you're going to need to push me. And then otherwise, if I suggest that he either use the walker or take a little bit of time to push the wheelchair, when he can, he does it. And he's always like, thank you for, getting me to do that. And when he really resists, I give him a break. This past weekend, in the house, once again, that's where I refer to YouTube videos. Once again, yogaflavor.com, Yoga Flavor, YouTube, to have, just a couple little gentle movements to keep you going. And I have to talk about the caregivers' mobility as well, because I had some issues this week. Last week, it was just Sergeant Major and I. We did a little getaway 20 minutes away by the ocean front, and I was pushing him, and I was the one taking the wheelchair out. And by the end of the week, I did feel the effects of that. I went back into my normal, workout routine, and my body was utterly fatigued.
You felt it.
I was like, not even Sergeant Major. This is where it's like, Daddy, I don't feel well. You're going to have to be patient with me, right? You had to be patient with me. And, I was like, I need to rest for a minute. He would be, take 2 minutes.
That's it, not one. You didn't have to. You give her a little slack, Sergeant Major.
So caregivers and their loved ones both need to be mobile. And once again, to be honest, being over 60, working out and the recovery time takes a little longer than it used to. So I have to have compassion for myself and request that of my loved one. Dad, be patient. Once again, right? That's where Daddy comes in. Daddy,
comes in. Yes.
So taking the time to do that care, and actually I feel a lot better. But yesterday morning, I just needed to, lay down, sit down, soak, for an extended period of time. And when I see that happening with my father, vice versa. Sometimes with my father, he may have a swollen ankle, right? He had swollen ankles, swollen legs the other day. So that affected his mobility, and being conscious of that. And it happens with a lot of older people. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but we were partying, last week and vacationing and everything. So, okay,
Mhm.
that might have had a little bit to do with salt,
A
sugar.
little bit.
Salt, sugar. Okay, we got to balance that out.
Sure.
So we made the concerted effort. We check in with our bodies. Okay, your legs are swollen. So what we have to do is, elevate the legs, and I do a little massage to get, everything flowing back into the body so he can eliminate the excess water. And this is both of us just being really conscious about where our bodies are, what our bodies need, and being patient with one another as a team so that we can be mobile happily ever after.
I love that. I love that you are approaching this as a team, because I think that's something that people don't realize as they're in their caregiver season, right? It's a relationship of reciprocity. So there's give and take on each end. And when it comes to the mobility factor, I think that's always kind of that, for a lot of my caregiver clients, it's always that kind of telltale, or that tipping point of whether or not they can continue to be a caregiver for their loved one. Because the mobility really requires the lack of mobility, meaning your loved one is bed bound or they're wheelchair bound, meaning they really cannot bear weight on their 2 feet on their own. That tends to be another stressor physically on the caregiver. And if you physically can't meet that task or meet that standard, then it becomes a burnout situation quicker than anything.
And I have to say that during this coronavirus time, it's really challenging, because before it was like, okay, Dad, we're going to be going to the airport, and you're going to have to be able to have that strength to get on the plane and move around and do this and do that. So we haven't been as mobile. And he would go to the senior center every day, just even, going to the senior center and getting out and walking around the senior center. So I've had to think of creative ways to motivate and keep them moving.
Sergeant Major, I got a quick question for you. Just in terms of your own strength, do you feel that yoga has helped you to maintain your strength?
I don't know that.
Do you feel like now, as opposed to maybe before you did yoga, your joints are a little less stiff?
I don't think so.
No? Well, sometimes. So it depends on how you were before, right? A lot of my caregivers tend to feel like these joints, as our loved ones get older, and it does happen, they tend to lock up, right? Or sometimes the back and the hips and the knees don't function like they used to. And no problems with you? Okay, good. Because honestly, a lot of the times that tends to be where that contraction of the muscles and that bed bound situation happens. So I just have a few quick tips, along with definitely having some kind of a physical practice, whether it's yoga, bicycle. Sometimes people can't do a lot of high impact exercises because of their knees, but having a stationary bike in the house, or yoga, or just deep stretching is always going to be beneficial for the long run.
And massage.
Ooh, very good. Very good. Yes.
Scheduled for tomorrow.
Ooh, do you enjoy those massages, Sergeant Major?
Yes.
Very good, very good. And it's a lot to do with the circulation, right? And something you mentioned also, Robin, was about the inflammation with the diet. I can go on and on and on about how certain foods, we talked about this a little bit last week, certain products, certain preservatives tend to cause a lot more inflammation. So when that happens, there's very little that you can do but to either switch your diet. A lot of the times, even with the ankle swelling, I always tell my clients, raise those ankles at heart level when you're seated. Make sure that you really have a nice, a return of fluid. Yep. I have some comments here I'm going to read. We've got Vince saying people with congestive heart failure know this very well. When you have some issues with fluid and fluid kind of getting in around your legs, your ankles, you want to raise those legs every time you get an opportunity, because when those legs swell up, it makes it harder for you to move. It makes it harder for you to want to do anything because it can be painful, very, very painful. So
was
those
that painful, Dad? It was just annoying. Yeah.
just annoying.
No.
Yeah, it wasn't
It
painful.
was very good.
For
It
some
wasn't
people,
annoying.
oh, it wasn't annoying. Oh, I had to point it out to you. Oh, it wasn't bothering him at all. I had to say like, "Hey, Dad, your ankles are swollen." He was like, "Oh."
You don't quite notice. And that's a good thing, because a lot of the times when you do notice, that's when it really is uncomfortable. But even so, we want to keep the salt down. We want to keep you actually getting more hydrated. I know it sounds contraindicative to have more fluids coming in, but trust that the body needs to be able to release the toxins that cause that inflammation and the joints to be weary. So one more thing I wanted to say about just in general, when we're looking at the mobility piece, I think you really want to have a plan around if this does become the reality of your loved one, meaning they can't really move and they can't really do the things that they were doing before. What would be your next best option? What would be the next thing for you to really consider, as you are the caregiver and pretty much the number one person on their team to support them? So there's different options, there's different things that we can talk about, but those are big things. Is that something that you've thought about, Robin, or maybe discussed with your siblings?
And the way I felt yesterday morning, I'm like, what if, I'm the one who can't move? So yes, definitely something I've thought about.
Mm-hmm.
And right now we have home health care that comes in for Sergeant Major. And that would be the thing. I don't know if it would be more hours or whatever because of mobility. The home is set up in such a way, Sergeant Major gets annoyed because he had carpeting on the floor. And when he came out of the rehabilitation center, in order to come back into his home, they did a little inspection and they were to make sure his home was safe. And they said, well, the carpets need to be removed, so it's not a problem. So we've been very diligent in making sure that the home is really easy to maneuver around.
But I can maneuver on the carpet now.
We can.
Okay, well, that was one of the things that happened when he was in the rehabilitation.
How long ago was that?
And that was a while ago.
That was a while ago.
Yeah, so we will revisit, having the carpets put back down.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the last part that I want to say about mobility, I think people tend to maybe make too much of trying to have an exercise routine and a regimen. I always say short increments, 5 minutes here, 10 minutes here, it makes a difference, right? I'm sure even with chair yoga.
Everyone is different, and you really have to listen to your body.
Sure.
Like I said, I feel like my body is going through some changes, and I was just Googling, exercising over 60, and they indeed were talking about some of the things that you were talking about. The recovery time is different. And once again, for each person, you really have to be compassionate with yourself and not try to have the ideal, especially of a younger person, but even, someone else. You really have to explore what's right for you.
Yes, and that's very true. And just to piggyback onto that, I know I said I was done, but there's always a conversation around physical therapy, because there's exercise and then people say, oh, well, I'll just get a physical therapist and they'll help me. And they will. They will give you the exercises. They will do an evaluation. They will tell you kind of where you are, right? But honestly, if it's something that you can adopt as a lifestyle, meaning having those exercises, figuring out a way to get that 5 minutes or that 10-minute little range of motion exercise in, it doesn't do a whole lot to have physical therapy come and stretch you out. So stretches, short increments, and finding, like Robin said, finding what's right for you is, I think, the three things that you can walk away from today with, what it is that we would really encourage you to do for mobility. I've got a couple more comments in here. I just want to shout out. Someone says, yes, even when I just do a little exercise, I feel great. And then we have another one saying one-on-one or one-to-one kind of care, where you're really at that space where you can go through each and every exercise and just take it at your own pace. So I just want to thank you guys for adding just the lovely comments. We love to have people in the building and joining us on our lovely path of caregiving. So Robin, I just want to turn this is the section where we get real fun and we talk about the flavor of life. Last week you expressed, or actually I think it was last week, where you talked to us about your getaway or your staycation. Has there been anything new in the flavor of life for this week that you'd like to share with our audience?
Yeah, every week I make a point of showing Sergeant Major the calendar so he has something to look forward to, especially because on the weekends, especially with the coronavirus, I like to kind of stay in and organize for the week. Mm-hmm. So over the weekend, I'll pull out the calendar and I'll be like, okay, Dad, this is what we have to look forward to. And today I'm going to be resting and organizing for the week. But look what's happening on Tuesday, when the aide gets here. So last week we did have a good time. And the other thing I like to do, because my father's memory isn't as good as it used to be, is take lots of pictures so that I can show him also on the weekends when he's like, hey, what's going on? I'm like, look at all we did last weekend, which was going to the beach. And we also went to a park that we hadn't been to before. Actually, our aide suggested. This is an interesting season for aides as well, because previously the aide would take Sergeant Major to the senior center where there was a lot of activities. With that not going on, thank goodness I have the aide who suggested this park, and he was able to take around the park that had a lovely fountain. Nice. So we do make a point of getting up and out of the house, and so Sergeant Major can enjoy his new car, and things like that. And every time we're up and out, I really appreciate the fact, Dad, that you show gratitude, express gratitude. You're always like, thank you so much for getting me around. So I think the anticipation of fun things is always good, to let your loved one know, especially if you need time to, gather yourself, say, okay, I need today, but look at Tuesday, we're going to be on and popping.
Yes. Oh, that's so wonderful. I think for my flavor of life for this week, I have kind of did a little bit of the opposite, where, I haven't really been getting out much, and I'm enjoying it. And so this last week, I really dialed everything in and focused on meditation, focused on just clarity, being able to kind of figure out the things that, you've got those thoughts that swirl around in your head all the time, and trying to figure out, like, where is all that stuff coming from, right? Or what it is that I need to do to help kind of calm those things. So a lot of meditation, a lot of yoga, and also the diet, kind of cleaning up that intake and really taking time to just, honor my body and create some new self-care practices. I felt like my self-care regimen was getting a little stale. And so I kind of incorporated a few new things, and I am looking to get out more. I think now more than before, I'm a little more comfortable with being out in public. Right now, it's
over the coronavirus. Okay.
It's over 100 degrees out right now. Not that anybody really wants to be. And I'm in Southern California and you guys are in New York. But I got Vince who says, mix it up. Yes. And he's actually going to be cooking some ribs tonight by the pool. So I would greatly life. Yes, that is the flavor of life. That I will say I miss. I miss that, not being able to go to the cookout, whatever cookout it was this summer. I think those were things. But again, I tried not to focus on the things that I didn't have or the things that I missed. More so just, like I said, bringing it in, dialing it in, and being thankful for the breath that I have and being thankful for the surrounding that I have. So that was my flavor of life kind of takeaway for this week. Short, sweet, nothing, overly crazy. Oh, and I got back into journaling. That was something that I've been really adamant about with all of my caregivers. And somehow within the last month, that kind of just went by the wayside for me. I looked back and I only had a few entries, and I'm someone that was really diligent, like every day, and I can see how, life kind of catches up with you. So that was something that I really wanted to focus on, to really get back into those regimens, mix it up a little bit, but then, make sure I'm staying true to myself.
Nice.
Yes. And Sergeant Major, do you have anything to add to our flavor of life for this week?
Well, I like to socialize.
Yeah, I like that too. And I think that's going to be something that everybody's looking forward to at some point soon. We don't know when, but I promise, Sergeant Major, we're going to have a big old party for you. I'm a party girl, and I'm ready to socialize with you.
Thank you.
All right. See? Okay, Robin. Now, remember. Okay.
On you, Bahamia. You're the one who made the invitation. Dad, I'm sending you to Bahamia.
I made the party. I did the invitation. I used to be in a former life. I was an event planner. I was a travel agent and event planner. We did kind of both. My sister and I had a business, so I love to plan a good party. I love to have everything show up for everybody to smile and just be really happy and have a good time. So I understand you, Sergeant Major. We're on the same boat. Okay.
Okay.
All right. And with that kind of brings us to the end of our show. Any announcements before we go? We've got a couple more minutes, but I think, I don't know, for the most part, I'm pretty much caught up on most of the things.
Yeah, I would like to continue to ask people to write their questions down. I did get a phone call from someone who had a question. It was kind of a mobility.
Oh, yes. We've got time. We've got time. That's a good one.
All right. So here was a mobility issue from one of my friends who was contemplating sending his mom, who has some mild dementia, to be with a sister for her birthday, and he was concerned because he just felt his sister wasn't going to, follow the care plan. And I was more concerned about like coronavirus and someone traveling unattended, because he was saying, I was, reassured by the airlines that they would look out. But I even know when I'm with my father and I get someone to assist with the wheelchair, sometimes they come to me and say, oh, sorry, we don't have anyone available. Would you mind just handling it? So I called you up, Bahamia.
Yes.
And what was your response when I told you?
So yeah, my response was, if you were asking my advice, I would say, instead of having mom get on the plane by herself, have somebody escort her, meaning not somebody from the travel,
airport.
Or the airline, meaning either sister or your friend who's the caregiver, son, either bring her or his or her daughter come pick her up, his sister come pick her up. Because I think all too often we don't necessarily take into account that when our loved one with even mild dementia has a change in their environment, it really rattles them. It really confuses them to a different level. And it can be traumatic because they're in an unfamiliar environment. They don't know anyone, and no one really knows their little nuances and how they communicate. And it could be a lot more stressful than you might have anticipated. And it could even mean that you might have to, meet her somewhere if there's a connection, God forbid, because I've had different situations where the loved one could not actually make the full trip. It was really, really, stressful and since no one's there to hold her hand, that's a big deal. So I suggest if they can make some kind of an arrangement where sister comes out and picks up mom, or sister just comes out and hangs out with mom, maybe in a different place if they just want a change of scenery. I know Airbnbs are still doing their thing. So that's something that people are really taking full advantage of. Getting an Airbnb for a day or two in a nice fancy house, if they like that kind of thing or not. And just getting that kind of one-on-one time in a space that's comfortable. Because aside from the coronavirus, I think when we look at travel and mobility, if she gets tired, and yes, she might be in a wheelchair, but just in general, how we all act when we're tired.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking, because he was telling me it was a 7-hour flight with a layover, and I was just like,
no, ma'am. That layover is not going to work. So good case study, Robin. That's amazing to know that, people are still wanting to connect, but we've got to take those safety measurements. We've got to take those little nuances into consideration, because it really is going to be, I think, a different world for us as we move forward in how we kind of share our loved ones, because that kind of that paradigm is going to shift. So we've got to figure out a better way. But so my unfortunate recommendation was not to do it. Yeah. So that said, on a lighter note, we will be back next week, and
keep the questions coming.
I think we're going to be dealing and having a lot of questions about some things that are really tough, especially as we approach the holidays, right? Robin and I have some things kind of lined up, and we did mention last week, but well, just to kind of refresh everyone's memory, that as the fall approaches, we've got an awesome program, masterclass program for our caregivers that we've been putting together. We've been working really hard at doing, and we will invite you all to join it. But ultimately, we want to prepare you guys for this holiday season in this kind of uncertainty. So,
and I wanted to talk about the masterclass. I don't know if I mentioned it last week. The main reason I really encourage it is because it will be a more in-depth support system. And I have found that a lot of times I've really needed someone to hold my hand through a lot of and keep me accountable for a lot of the process that goes along with caregiving.
Very good. Yes, that is very true. So if you're looking for a more intimate setting where, it's not necessarily one-on-one, but somewhere where you can be in an environment and community that people support you and can give you some positive tools, resources, and feedback for what you're doing in your caregiver path, be sure to look out for our masterclass. It is coming at the end of the month. So with that said, I think we're pretty much done, and we're really good on time, Robin. We did great. We're at a little bit over 30 minutes, but I think people will forgive us.
Okay. Yes, indeed. Thank you, Bahamia.
Awesome. Thank you, Robin. Thank you, Sergeant Major. I will see you same time, same place next week.
Okay.
All right. You guys enjoy your day. Thank you. And thank you, caregivers.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.